Hi, and welcome to the SNDJ Wedding Reception Planning Podcast, this first edition of the SNDJ Wedding Reception Planning Podcast. My name is Stacey, Noles, Entertainment Director and Mobile DJ at SNDJ Entertainment in Pensacola, Florida. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. And who is this podcast for? Well, basically, we're for brides and grooms planning a wedding reception. Also, if you're a DJ or another wedding professional, maybe you own a wedding business, and you're just looking to get some tips on wedding receptions, you'll find this information very helpful as well. But we are really gearing this more towards brides and grooms who are planning a wedding reception. Also, we just want to mention that this podcast is for everyone. So even though we are based in Pensacola, Florida, that this information is good for anybody who lives in the United States or any other country around the world. If you're planning a wedding reception, you're going to get something from this podcast, that's for sure, with all the information that we're going to be giving you. So again, don't think that this is just for people in Pensacola, Florida, or the southeastern part of the United States, or anywhere else. This is for everyone, so regardless of where you are, you definitely will get something from this podcast. Now, as we begin, I just want to tell you a little bit about me and, of course, about our business, SNDJ Entertainment. And we've been in business for almost 19 years. Actually, 2022, this year, marks 19 years that we've been in business. And I've been real proud of what SNDJ Entertainment has accomplished over the past 19 years. But once again, my name is Stacey Noles, and I actually started out in radio in 1994 and have worked in radio stations in Panama City, Florida and Lynchburg, Virginia before coming to Pensacola in 1996. And I get this all the time. People say, you know what, you have the perfect voice for radio. And I still do work at a local radio station here in Pensacola. I work weekday mornings at a local news talk station, and we actually have 5 stations in our building. And I also do some other work on the music stations as well. So music is still a very big part of my radio career. And here's a little history of how SNDJ Entertainment got started. I started having a lot of my radio listeners call me up on the request lines whenever I'd be on the radio, and they started asking me if I would do parties and school dances and, weddings and things like that. And this was in the late 90s, and I said, no, I never really got into that. Well, my sister got married in 1998, and I was at her wedding as a groomsman, and I remember sitting at the reception, and I was sitting there with my mom at the table, and we were watching what the DJ was doing. And my mom looked at me and said, you know what, I think you'd be good at what he does. I mean, look at how he's handling everything. You're already on the radio. You got that personality. I think you'd be really good. I think this might be something you may want to consider. And I thought, well, okay, why not? That does look like that'd be a lot of fun. And so I went up and talked to the DJ at the end of the night as he was starting to break down his equipment. And he was real nice. And he gave me his phone number, said, you know what, if you ever want to get started, let me know. I thought, okay, well, that'd be cool. I mean, that sounds, pretty neat to check that out. So anyway, I kind of just put it in the back of my mind, and I kept thinking about it over the next few years about possibly starting my own mobile DJ business, but never really, got serious about it. But it wasn't until 2002 that I decided I really wanted to get serious about it. So at that point, I started researching it, started watching videos and learning how to become a mobile DJ and what it would take to start a mobile DJ business. So I started SNDJ Entertainment in August of 2003. We had our very first event that we hosted on Labor Day weekend of 2003. It was a moving in party for a couple of friends of mine in Holt, Florida, which is just a small little community just east of Pensacola. So it was a lot of fun, and that was a chance to test out the equipment and get everything rolling. And for much of that first year, basically, I just did parties, school dances, and fundraising events. But I didn't actually start doing weddings until March of 2004, and since that time, weddings make up about 90% of what we do at SNDJ Entertainment each year. But in addition to just providing the music for weddings and receptions, we also serve as the master of ceremonies, the entertainment planner, and entertainment director. And don't worry, all this is going to make sense because over this series of podcasts, we're going to be talking more about all that. And so you'll have a better understanding of what we say when we say that we handle the planning and the entertainment portion of the reception. But we also offer various lighting options as well, such as decorative uplighting, your name, initials, or logo monogrammed in lights, and cake spotlighting. And again, we'll be talking more about those things as well. And I started my YouTube channel in September of 2008, and since that time, we've had hundreds of videos from weddings throughout the years, as well as tips, suggestions, videos from other events, and videos from various mobile DJ conventions that we've been to since that time as well. All right, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's talk about some common myths about professional wedding DJs. And this first myth is one that I have seen numerous times throughout the years. I've seen people talk about this on the internet, and I've also heard people say this as well. But a common myth is that people tend to think that all DJs do the same thing. And well, that's very far from the truth because all DJs don't do the same thing. A lot of times people, when they think of a professional wedding DJ, they compare that to the person that they may have remembered seeing when they went to the skating rink in middle school. You know, the guy playing your favorite songs while you went and skated around the skating rink out there. Well, it's true that that person is a DJ, but that's not what a professional wedding DJ is like. That's, like really comparing apples and oranges when you think about things like that. But all DJs don't do the same thing, and it's kind of like saying that all doctors do the same thing. When you say somebody's a doctor, well, what does that mean? I mean, there are all kinds of doctors. I mean, that's such a blanket statement. I mean, you got doctors that specialize in orthopedics, you got doctors that specialize in general practice, some that specialize in psychiatry, and all kinds of other things. So when you say somebody's a doctor, that's really a blanket statement. That's really what mobile DJing is all about as well, because all DJs don't do the same thing. You do have some DJs that specialize in weddings. You have others that specialize in clubs. And then, you've got some that specialize in other events, just, that strictly do parties and things like that. And they really don't even venture into weddings. So yes, that is a common misconception that all DJs do the same thing. Another common myth is a DJ will just come to your reception, set up, play music for a few hours, break down, then leave. Okay, well, I'll admit there are some DJs that will do just that, but a professional wedding DJ will do a lot more than just handle music, as we say. Basically, a professional wedding DJ also serves as your wedding reception entertainment planner and director. He's in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly. He's the master of ceremonies. His job is to make sure that your guests know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And really, his job is to keep the party going. It's a lot more than just playing music. So that's definitely a common misconception there about professional wedding DJs. Another myth is being a professional wedding DJ is easy and anyone can do it. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth on that one, because even though it looks easy, and we make it look easy when you come and see us at a wedding reception or some other event, it's really not. There is a lot of planning and preparation that goes into what we do. And whenever you see us at a wedding reception, just keep in mind that that's actually the finished product after many, many hours of planning have gone into making that event what it is. So yeah, being a professional wedding DJ is actually hard work. Now that doesn't mean it's not fun and we don't love it. Of course we love it, but it's definitely not easy, and not just anyone can do it. It takes a special type of person to be a professional wedding DJ. For example, it takes a special type of person in other fields, like to be a funeral director. I mean, somebody who can embalm bodies and handle things like that. That takes a very special person to be able to do that. It takes a very special person to be a police officer or any other field, and it's the same thing in our industry as well. So being a professional wedding DJ is definitely not easy, and not everyone can do it. Another common myth that I've seen making the rounds is being a professional wedding DJ takes little or no training. Well, I have to say that myth is probably about as far from the truth as you could possibly get, because being a professional wedding DJ takes a lot of training in order to be good. And it takes a lot of experience, years of experience, to really get good at being a professional wedding DJ. Now, a lot of people think, okay, well, as long as, I've got ways to download music and all this other stuff, that I can become a wedding DJ if I just buy some speakers. Well, no, that's not necessarily the case, because music is definitely a part of what we do. It's a big part of what we do, but you also have to know how to be a good master of ceremonies. You have to know how to lead a crowd. You have to know how to plan a wedding reception out. I mean, there are a lot of things that you have to learn about before you could actually become a professional wedding DJ, and we go through a lot of training. Like, for example, I go to Las Vegas every year for a mobile DJ convention. I go to seminars, I go to workshops, I market with other DJs and talk to them and learn about everything. We learn from each other. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to do in order to become a professional wedding DJ. It's definitely something that does take a lot of training. And when you see us, like I said before, when you see us at a wedding reception, it may look easy, and we do a good job of making it look easy, but again, there's a lot of planning and training that has gone into making that event what it is. It's definitely not easy. Another common myth and misconception is a professional wedding DJ will come to your wedding reception and make the event all about them and not about you. Well, again, that's another one that's far-fetched and definitely not true. Now, there may be some DJs that will come to your event and make it all about them and not you, but they definitely aren't professional wedding DJs if they do that. Yes, it is true that we are master of ceremonies. We're going to have the microphone and we will be doing some talking. But what our job is to make sure that the event is about you and not about us. And so what we basically do is we take our training and everything that we've learned and we put you in the spotlight. That's what it's all about. That's what a professional wedding DJ does. They don't make it all about them. They make it all about you. But we use our expertise and our training to put you in the spotlight because you, the bride and groom, are the most important people at your wedding reception. And our last common myth or misconception about wedding DJs, this is one that I have seen online a lot. It's one of my favorites. If someone has professional mobile DJ equipment, that must mean that they are a professional. Well, not necessarily. That, once again, is another one that's really far-fetched from the truth. That would be like saying somebody, who goes to a medical store and buys a bunch of scrub suits and masks, is qualified to become a brain surgeon. Or let's say somebody goes and buys a pilot's uniform and puts the uniform on. Does that mean that they're qualified to fly a plane tomorrow morning? Well, no, that doesn't mean that at all. And that's the same thing in our particular industry as well. Somebody can get online, they could buy a bunch of mobile DJ equipment, they could buy top-of-the-line mobile DJ equipment, but that does not mean that they are a professional, and that doesn't really mean anything if they haven't gone through the necessary training to know how receptions work and how everything works and stuff like that. I mean, they can have the best equipment in the world, but that doesn't mean that they are qualified to be a professional wedding DJ. So make sure you do your research on that. Just remember that just because somebody has some professional mobile DJ equipment, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are qualified and have gone through the necessary training to be a professional wedding DJ. Now let's talk about the responsibilities of a professional wedding DJ. In reality, calling a professional wedding DJ, well, it's an understatement. But we use that term even though we do so much more than just handle music. We can't speak for other professionals across the country and around the world because there are different degrees of responsibilities some professional wedding DJs will do. For example, some DJs just simply handle the music end of things, and that's all they do, meaning if you hire one of these DJs, you will either have to plan out your reception yourself or hire a separate planner to create a sequence of events and direct your reception. However, at SNDJ Entertainment planning and directing is part of our responsibility. No matter who you decide to hire for your wedding, be sure to have them clarify what services they offer, especially when it comes to planning and directing. Be sure to ask, do you actually plan the reception or do you just handle music? Like I said, there are DJs out there who will just simply handle the music, meaning you'll have to have somebody else to plan the reception out or either do that part yourself. So be sure you get clarification on that. Okay, so now you may be asking, so what does planning and directing mean and why is that important? Well, at SNDJ Entertainment, we handle the reception, entertainment planning, and directing, which means when a bride hires us, we work directly with her to not only help her with her music choices, but we also help her to put a sequence of events together for her wedding reception. We'll give her all of the forms that she needs, which can be filled out online. We'll go over everything, and once she returns the forms to us, we will then type everything up on an organized, typed-up planner with a sequence of events based on her preferences. We will then send the planner back to the bride. She can then look it over, make sure everything is how she likes it, make any changes she needs, and once she gives us her final approval that everything is set up the way that she wants it, then we will send it out to her other vendors, and especially her photographer and wedding coordinator, she has one, and the catering staff. Anybody that she wants us to send it out to, we'll make sure that we send it out to them. And during the reception, we will serve as the day of entertainment director by making sure everything runs smoothly. We'll be checking with the bride and groom as well as the other vendors before we make any major announcements. Our number one rule at SNDJ Entertainment is we won't announce any major events until we have personally checked with the bride, groom, and the other vendors to make sure they are ready, especially the photographer. Think about this for a second. You might have been to a wedding reception where the DJ got on the microphone and said, okay, it's time for the toast, and then somebody yells out, oh, the bride's in the bathroom, or the bride isn't ready, or, the photographer yells out, hey, wait a second, I need to go and change out a cartridge or something like that. We don't worry about that because we make sure that we check with the bridegroom and the other vendors before we ever get on the microphone and announce things, and then and only then, once we've checked with everybody to make sure everybody's ready, then we'll announce the event. But we'll be going into more details about the planning and directing process in another podcast. The good news is when you hire a professional wedding DJ service like SNDJ Entertainment, it will not be necessary to hire a separate planner or director for your reception since that is a service that we offer. Well, now that we've given you a brief overview of our responsibilities and clarified some common myths about professional wedding DJs, we think it is important to know how to hire a professional wedding DJ, what to look for, and what questions to ask. The first aspect we like to point out is the importance of hiring a professional wedding DJ. We always tell our brides when it comes to your wedding, there are two vendors that you want to make sure are the most professional. That's your DJ and your photographer, because when it comes to your reception, those are the two vendors that will leave the most lasting memories. Your photographer will be the one capturing all those special memories of your wedding day that you can show to your grandkids 50 years from now, and your DJ will be the one vendor your guests, family, and friends will remember the most. Studies show that 6 months after your reception, your family and friends will remember the entertainment more than any other aspect of your wedding reception. And that's entirely true. They will remember dancing and partying more than any other aspect of your reception, and will base the success of your reception based on your entertainment. That's why it's important to make sure you hire a professional wedding DJ for your reception. Now you may be asking, how do I hire a professional wedding DJ? Well, let's start out answering that question by first telling you what not to do. When hiring a professional DJ for your wedding reception, what you don't want to do is look up a bunch of DJs online or call a bunch of DJs in your area, get a bunch of prices, then hire the cheapest one. You've probably heard the saying, you get what you pay for, and that is especially true. The first aspect we want you to realize is the person that you hire for your wedding reception will be representing you. You want to get the best deal, but that doesn't mean the cheapest price. Let me give you an example. When you look for a new car, you aren't looking for just the cheapest price. You want to find the car that will best meet your needs. Sure, you can look through the ads and find cars real cheap, but most often than not, they wouldn't meet your needs and could leave you on the side of the road. Well, it's the same aspect with hiring a wedding DJ. You want to hire the DJ service that will best meet your needs and leave you with the most positive memories. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you base your decision on hiring the best DJ service who is the most qualified and will offer you the best service, and not based on who quoted the cheapest price. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's give you some tips on what to look for. With this being the 21st century, you can find out a lot about a DJ service by doing research online before you even inquire with them. The first thing you'll probably notice is their website. Is it professional looking? Does the language sound professional? Or are there a lot of grammar and spelling mistakes? The first impression of their website can tell you a lot. Is it easy to understand? Can you easily understand what services they have to offer? The website should contain photos from their events with their setup. It should also state how long they've been in business and should have their contact information very easy to find. Some DJ services may have a contact form for you to fill out to get information, while others may have their wedding prices on their site in plain view. That's usually based on the service's preferences. At SNDJ Entertainment, when you go to our website, we give you a price range, but we also have a quote generator where you can fill out the information and get an instant price quote. Either way, the DJ service should give you an indication of their prices on their website. You'll also want to look for reviews such as Wedding Wire or The Knot. Take a look at those reviews, see what other brides and grooms have said about their experiences with that DJ service. Okay, so now they passed the website test. You're impressed and you want to find out more information. Well, at this point, you should either call, text, or email the DJ service and ask for information. If they have an online form to fill out, you can also use that as well. At this point, they should send you more information. And just to give you an example, at SNDJ Entertainment, we have a wedding packet that we'll email to our prospective brides and grooms, which contains more detailed information than what is on our website. So now they've sent you a wedding information packet or given you some more information. The next step is to schedule a consultation with them. Any professional wedding DJ service will always schedule a consultation with you, and if they won't, that's a red flag. And the main point of the consultation is it's a job interview for both sides. You want to make sure that this DJ service is the right DJ service for you. The consultation can either be in person or virtual. And with COVID, a lot more DJs have opted for virtual or video consultations, and that's okay. As long as they'll agree to meet with you in one fashion or another, that's what you want to do. And when you meet with the DJ, you'll want to ask them about their experience. They should also go over the procedure of planning a wedding reception with you, and you should ask to see pictures and video from their most recent weddings that they performed. And they should have photos and possibly video footage to show you. And look at the pictures. Does their setup look nice? Does it look professional? Is the table organized, or does his setup look like an engineer's shop with wires hanging all over the place? Beat up speakers, not very appealing. Remember, his setup is what will be in the background of all of your pictures, so take a good look at his setup and imagine that setup being in the background of all of your pictures. You'll also want to make sure that you ask to see examples of wedding planners that he's put together. Any professional wedding DJ should be able to show you organized wedding planners with sequence of events for several recent wedding receptions that he's planned out. Look those over. Does the order flow? Does it look organized? You also want to make sure that you ask about his music. How much music does he have? Does he have music to appeal to all age groups? Finally, you want to make sure that they have a valid contract. Now, this is not only important for your DJ service, but also any wedding vendor that you hire. Remember, unless you have it in writing, you have nothing in the eyes of the law, so make sure that they have a valid contract. Again, if they don't have a contract, that's a major red flag. Be sure to read the contract, make sure you understand it, and ask questions if you need clarification on something. You want to make sure that their contract clearly states their responsibilities, your responsibilities, the price of their service, their overtime rate, if any, and what all is included in the package that you're getting. Then, and only then, should you sign it once you have thoroughly understood it. When we meet with a potential client, sometimes the bride and groom, they may want to go ahead and sign the contract on the spot after reading it. And while other times they want to take the contract home, take their time reading it, and then return it a few days later, and of course we welcome that as well. We work with our clients and we want to make sure that they fully understand the contract before they ever sign it. So that's a great overview to give you some things to think about as you plan your wedding reception. This is the first of our Wedding DJ podcast, and in our next one we're going to talk more about the planning process and all it takes, and give you some tips to make sure that your wedding reception is everything that you dreamed of. Again, my name is Stacey Noles, Entertainment Director of SNDJ Entertainment in Pensacola, Florida. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly. My email address is weddings@sndjpensacola.com. That's weddings@sndjpensacola.com. You can also visit the SNDJ Entertainment's website at sndjpensacola.com, where we have a lot of information, including a link to our YouTube channel. But if you'd like to go straight to our YouTube channel and see many wedding videos, you can simply do that by doing a YouTube search for Stacey Noles DJ. That's STACEYNOLES DJ, and it will come up. Thank you once again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the SNDJ Wedding Reception Planning Podcast.